Welcome to Alive by God's Word. Week 3, we are back with another Bible study method. Guys, this one's one of my favorites. We're going to do the first person method. And this is where you're going to get to exercise a little bit of creativity as you approach the text. Now, as always, this goes best in a journal. If you like to type, you can type. If you like to write, you can write. But I do want to challenge you to lean into that creative side, because in the first person method, we're going to put ourselves in the story like we're there. I'll tell you, this generally works best in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. When you're in a Jesus passage and it's a story about something Jesus did, that's where I like to bring this out, to really put myself there in the story as if I was having the encounter with Jesus. So it's a few simple steps. The first is this. Read the Bible and pretend like you are at the scene described in the text. Put yourself in there. And I mean in there. I want you to feel the dust under your feet in Jerusalem. Smell the smells of the cattle walking by. Hear the crowds. Feel what's going on. Be in the boat with Jesus as the thunder starts to boom. Also put yourself in the emotional setting of the passage. See, there's the setting, like where are they and what are they doing? But then every passage has an emotional setting. I think that woman that encountered Jesus and had been afflicted with the issue of blood, she had spent all of her money and was still not well. She was abandoned by friends and family and called unclean by her community. And she watches Jesus walk by. What did it feel like in her heart when she saw her only hope walking by? In this method, we're going to go there. And then as you picture that passage, you're going to write out a letter, almost like you're writing a letter to a friend about what you experienced in the Bible story. Now, in my family, we have a rule. Anytime the kids want to tell a story, we make them start the story with the words, "So there I was." And if you're a "so there I was" person, you could write that out. And you could write, "So there I was on a boat with Jesus. So there I was watching this woman walk towards him." You can do that, or you could say, "So today I was at blank, Jesus showed up, and after that, blank happened." And you're just writing out what happened with Jesus as if you were a first-person observer. Step 3, when reading, try and forget anything you've heard before about the story. Now, that sounds counterintuitive. Why do we want to forget what we've heard or what people have told us about this stuff? Well, we want to clear all of that out and simply let the Bible speak to us. We're going to leave all of our presuppositions at the door, and we're going to just imagine what it would be like to witness Jesus, and we're going to throw out everything other than God's word. You're going to draw some conclusions about who Jesus is and what he wants for your life. So if I'm there on the boat with Jesus, and he does calm the storm, I would write out my story, and I'd say, there I was, and I was on the boat, and it was like this. And I realized how powerful Jesus is. Then finally, step 5, there's that for me section. This is just like the application in our SOAP study. If this is true about Jesus, if this is what I see in him, in his heart, his power, what's available to me through him, the way he loves people, if that's who Jesus is, what does it mean for me? So like I said, gang, the best way for us to learn this is to try it together. And this one I had to write out, and this is a very short version. I'll tell you, I like this stuff, so I'll write a page and a half or something like this. But here I have 3 paragraphs of first-person Bible study. So I'm going to be in Luke 7, and so here's the Bible story. It says, "So afterward, Jesus went to a town called Nain, and his disciples and a large crowd went with him. As he approached the town gate, a dead person was being carried out, the only son of his mother, and she was a widow. And a large crowd from the town was with her. When the Lord saw her, his heart went out to her, and he said, 'Don't cry.' Then he went up and touched the bier they were carrying him on, and the bearer stood still. He said, 'Young man, I say to you, get up.' The young man sat up and began to talk, and Jesus gave him back to his mother. They were all filled with awe and praised God. 'A great prophet has appeared among us,' they said. 'God has come to help his people.' This news about Jesus spread all throughout Judea and the surrounding country." Now here we go. Here's my first person attempt, and I'm going to do it here in a couple paragraphs. Guys, anything is fine. If you want to take up a whole page, 2 pages, or just a couple paragraphs, it's A-okay, but this is my attempt at working through those steps and putting myself in the story and telling it like I was there and telling a friend. I would say, so this Jesus was on his way to do something else or be somewhere else, but he stopped because he had compassion. He saw this woman who had just lost her son. It's crazy because, Jesus cares about people. It looked like he had somewhere else to be and something else to do, but when he saw the lady hurting, it was almost like he was hurting with her and he cared so deeply. Jesus interrupted a funeral. He stopped the funeral right then and there. It was weird for everyone. And then he walked up to the woman's dead son and he said, "Get up." And you're not going to believe this, but the dead boy came back to life. Guys, it was terrifying. No one there had ever seen this before, but the boy was completely shocked, alert, and totally fine. Apparently, this Jesus has authority over sickness, and not just that, over life and death itself. And apparently, this Jesus cares about us. So I would literally just type that out. That's my version of the story. Like I was there and I'm sending it to a friend. And then I would come to that For Me section and I would say, this passage shows me two things about Jesus. One, he cares for me. While Jesus did heal the boy, and that is the thing we all look at, I also noticed that he cared deeply about the woman in this story who had lost her son. And this shows me that Jesus cares for the challenges that I face. This passage also shows me that Jesus has power. He has power to raise that boy from the dead. And so apparently he can raise the parts of my life that have been marked by death back to life as well. And I would simply do that, guys. That's my first person story. I put myself there like I was there. I tell the story like I'm telling a friend. And there again, I bring it back to application in my For Me section. And I write how this life-changing truth about Jesus changes my life here, now, and today. That's it for week 3 of Alive by God's Word. I hope you have fun studying God's Word this week. Peace.